Hey there, everybody. It's Lauren, and I'm here to do a review on the book A Girl Out of Water, and it was written by Laura Silverman. This book is a young adult novel with romance. And those are like the two things that I typically don't go crazy about. I always have kind of low expectations for young adult novels and also for romance as well. I just feel like it's kind of cheesy or cringy in certain parts. Also, I feel like, especially for a young adult novel, you're so young to have a lot of romance going on. And so I always kind of chuckle when I see a young adult romance book because I can't help but think about Twilight and all of the weird things that happen in young adult romance books. So overall, I was really close to not finishing this book, to be honest. And, but I did. So, I mean, that is props. So that's why I did give it 2 stars instead of a 1, because typically I give 1 star to books that I didn't finish or I just loathed completely. But usually if I loathe it so much, I'm not going to finish it. So I just give it a star. So 2 stars are for the books that I really didn't like, but I was able to finish it and I kind of wanted to know what was going to happen next. So hence 2 stars on Goodreads. I really went in with low expectations, and I've also heard that this author was bullied a lot when her book was trying to be released. So I'm definitely in no way agreeing with her bullies or any of the things. I don't really know much about the situation at all. And so I think that's why there's so many 5-star reviews, because they're really trying to support the author. And I think that's a great thing. But I do think that the ratings are kind of skewed a little bit because I don't think that this book is that good. And personally, it's just probably part that I don't like it. But there's just a lot of 5 stars that are just there to support the author and not necessarily reflect the quality or the goodness of the book. So first, what happened, the main thing that I really didn't like about the book was the main character. Her name is Anise. She lives with her dad in California, has that perfect surfer life with perfect friends, and she's been friends with them for like her whole life, hasn't lived anywhere else. Her mom is pretty much not in her life anymore and kind of just randomly will pop up here and now, and she really struggles with a sense of value and being abandoned by her mother. So I understand that she has a lot of problems and stresses that are going on. What happens in the story is it's summertime and she was planning on surfing and hanging out with her friends for pretty much the last summer before a lot of them are going to move for college. And her aunt, which is her mother's sister, ends up getting in a really bad car accident and is pretty much probably not going to be able to walk again. And she has 3 children. And so Anissa's dad and her need to fly to Nebraska and stay with them for the summer in order to kind of, help the family out because she's a single mom, because her husband had passed away several years before. And so they do decide to leave and go to Nebraska to help her family. So I think that's a really nice thing. Anise is really frustrated that she can't spend time with her friends and can't be surfing all summer. And I mean, it's a typical teenage response. I mean, even as an adult, we kind of want to be in our zone and want to do what we want to do. But I'm going to be honest, this character was just not nice. I mean, I know she's a teenager and I know she has some things going on in her life, but she's just doesn't make good choices, can't communicate with people, is constantly worried that her friends are going to forget about her because she is not there for the summer. I mean, this girl must never leave her city ever and never be away from her friends. And she constantly worries about what her friends think and her friends aren't going to like her anymore. Well, you would think that if you want your friends to remember you and you love them so much, you would continue to talk to them, right? You would text them, you would call them, you would FaceTime them all the time because you miss them so much and you don't want them to forget you. No, that's not what Anise does. She decides that she's going to pretty much drop off the face of the earth and not contact any of her close friends. Right before she left for Nebraska, she kissed her crush, who she had been friends with since birth for 17 years. They don't even talk about it when she leaves. And then she meets a whole other boy and automatically is deciding that he's the one she needs to date instead of this other guy. And it's just kind of sad because we learn a lot about this new guy she meets named Lincoln, but we really don't know anything about her home crush named Eric. And I just feel like as a reader, I feel disconnected. I didn't really have any reasons to root for certain characters over the other because I never made a connection with a lot of the characters. I feel like a lot of the writing was just kind of fluffy details, things that I didn't really need to know. Or Anise kind of having this inner dialogue with herself and complaining. And honestly, I can't stand drama and complaining, especially on a teenage level. It just really grinds my gears. So I'm really surprised that I made it through the book. I mean, there were some interesting things about surfing and skateboarding. She takes care of her family. They do go on a road trip, but she barely knows Lincoln, and they went on a road trip back to California to see this concert that she had been really wanting to see, and her dad let her go. But she drove halfway across the country from Nebraska to California with a person she just met. I just don't see how any parent would let their kid do that at this age. You shouldn't. I mean, that's just crazy in my opinion. A lot of it just seemed kind of far-fetched to me. Anyway, the main thing is that she's just very rude. She drops off the face of the earth. And a lot of her friends seem so much nicer than her, but we don't get a lot of information about who they are. They feel so 2D cardboard cutout. Like, they just don't feel real to me at all. Another problem that I had is, let's see, there's quotes that are trying to be like profound. Like, I could really tell that Laura wanted this book to have a good moral and a good theme, talking about, taking care of your family, understanding who you are, not putting your value in how other people treat you. There's a lot of good themes kind of that are, going on in the plot, but there's really not much of an actual story. I feel like the characters didn't grow that much. Or didn't really learn anything. She just pretty much sulked through the whole book. And then when she got back to California, I'm gonna be honest, like, her friends they automatically forgave her. And she didn't have to apologize. She just kept sulking. And then they just forgave her. It just didn't really make sense. There's not really any redeeming qualities in Anise. There's not any redeeming redemption in other characters like her mother. There is some good conversations between her and her aunt, but it's just not enough to make the book good, in my opinion. There's also some weird comments about, like, they visit a museum and she wishes she could preserve her mom, so she couldn't leave her. Like, that's just a really weird thing to say. There's also random comments about being turned on and they're just eating breakfast and not talking about anything. There's other people around. It's just not something that I would choose to write in a young adult novel. There's just some things that I think were inappropriate. Maybe I'm a prude, I don't know, but it's fine if it's an adult story, but some of these things in a young adult just kind of is disturbing to me and not age-appropriate content. But that's just my opinion. And also, let's see, the author also did this annoying thing. Sometimes Stephen King actually does this, and it even bothers me when he does it. But he has the characters say, oh, well, but this isn't a book or this isn't a movie. And I'm like, yeah, it is. There are characters in a book. I understand they're trying to make it more realistic. But to me, like, it just makes it cringy. I just don't like it when authors do that. And so Silverman tried to do that in her book, and I just didn't like it. There's a lot of other weird things that happen in this book. I think mainly why I was able to finish it is because I wanted to make a video explaining why I didn't like it. It just seems like she has a lot of 5-star reviews. And again, I know it's because of the bullying, but I mean, it just is it's a poor reflection of how the book is. Because when you look at the stats on Goodreads, look, she's got four stars as her average. I mean, that's really high. So I thought, okay, this book's going to be a good summer young adult romance novel. I might actually like it. But to be honest, like, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I think that other people who enjoy more young adult and who actually enjoy romance would probably find a lot more maybe meaning within the pages or like it better than me. But personally, it just wasn't my jam. I'm going to stick with more Stephen King adult books and kind of try to stay away from just pure romance novels. It's just not my jam, but maybe that's your jam. So I'm not saying that it's the worst book in the world. There was just so many things in there I personally just couldn't connect with or vibe with. So if any of that made sense to you, I hope it did. But let me know if you've read the book. What is your opinion about the book? Do you see the positive things that maybe I missed, or do you agree? Did you not like it either? Definitely let me know in the comments, okay? All right, thanks for listening. See you next time.